So I'm actually just gonna mute the drums and start with like a basic drum mix. And I'm gonna use SSD for this. So let's see. Now with SSD, you can activate multiple outputs so that you can route your drums to different tracks. So I'm going to do that now. And then I'm going to just load a basic metal drum kit. Let's see here. And if you're mixing a song, I hope you're not actually choosing drum samples like this, because you should have, that should have already been done during production. But I'm just doing this so I can demonstrate, because my drums are already mixed. I don't like any of the snares they have. Let's see. Let's go with the good old snare 12. Okay, cool. Let me route these really quick.
What's the name of this drum software?
This is Steven Slate Drums, better known as SSD4. I'm just routing each drum channel to a different track because I want to be able to change the sound of each one. But if you're mixing a song, you should just have multiple drum tracks anyway. Okay, now I'm going to send the MIDI. And since I did pre-pro for this song, I have MIDI of the entire, every single drum part, because I wanted to show the drummer what I wanted him to do. So I went through and did MIDI for the whole song so I could show him what I want him to play. All right, let's see if this works. Cool. So what I'm going to do now, I think I'm just going to turn that into audio. Okay. So we're just bouncing the audio for every single drum channel. Okay, there we go. And I'm not worried about like mono or stereo. That doesn't matter too much. Just if it is mono, it'll be mono, regardless of what kind of track it's on. Cool. All right, so we've got our drum tracks there. I'm just going to get rid of the sampler now. And I'll just start with kick. So I usually, when I'm mixing drums, I like to start with the kick. I start with EQ usually too. I'll work until I've got the kick sound that I like, at least the starting point. Whether that's through a mic or through a drum sample, I make sure I've chosen the one that I think is closest to what I want to get. And then I use these mixing techniques to get the rest of the way. So I might just find a section in the song and just loop a little part of a beat like this part here. And the first thing that I'll do is I'll actually grab an EQ and I'll just start sweeping around frequencies to see what's accentuated and what's accented and you know, what's going on with this specific kick drum. So I noticed there's like a click sound I don't really like around this area here. So I'm just taking that out. And there's also something in the low end I don't like. And as I do the EQ adjustments, I A/B them a lot because I want to hear what I'm doing to the sound. I want to know if I'm going too far or if I'm maybe, you know, maybe I'm doing something in the wrong area that's not getting the goal that I want. So I kind of have an idea of what I would like it to sound like. And so, you know, as I make these adjustments, I just turn them off and on really quick just to hear what the differences are. Okay, so now I'm A/Bing the entire change versus I'm A/Bing what I changed versus what it was before. Yeah, and just don't be afraid to do however many EQ changes you want. I mean, I just go crazy with it usually, so. Cool. So I like that. Now, with a kick, I don't really like to do a lot of compression. It does depend though. Not every kick's the same and not every song is the same. So sometimes you do need to have a compressor to level out either certain parts of the kick sound or also level out certain parts of the kick performance. So you just need to know what you're working with. Now, on the specific kick, I probably am going to just do, let's see, maybe I'll try a little bit of this. Yeah, so I don't even like what that's doing, so I'm going to try I want to try maybe a transient designer would be better. There's a cool transient designer I like to use a lot. It's called Dominion, and it's actually free if you search for it on Google. You can change the attack and the sustain. This plugin is PC only though. If you're a Mac user, you can't use this plugin. And then at this point, I'll probably kind of go around different points of the song and make sure what I'm doing is going to work with the different, the various things that he plays. If there's a section that has, really fast kicks, it might start overloading. I'll also A/B my entire channel versus what it was before and how I've changed it. Because I find that just gives you a really good perspective on where you are and what you're doing. And then finally a clipper to just bring up the gain and to level it out a little bit. So see, if I go too far, it starts distorting. So I don't want to distort, but I do want to level it out a little bit. So that's the kick. Let's see what we got. Oh yeah, this is the pre-pro. I'm going to bring in a guitar track, actually. Let's see, imports audio. There we go. Cool. All right. Next, the snare. Let's see what our snare sound is made out of. So I actually like this snare quite a bit. So I'm going to start with that. And I'll just find a section and loop it. And if you're working in Cubase, you probably want to have your buffer size really high when you're mixing, so you can pretty much have unlimited DSP. So I hear like a ring in this snare that I don't like. I'm going to remove that first. It is dead. Bye-bye ring. And I'm just listening for additional ringing. Some of them might be hard to hear, but when you get into the mastering stage later, those rings are going to be accented even more, so you want to just try and find them early and get rid of them. Yeah, so if you do this a lot, you can destroy the sound because the computer allows you to make like basically infinite adjustments. So don't get too crazy with it. I try to just stick to what did I hear the first time I listened to the snare drum, because that's what the listener would hear too. So if you just play the snare drum and that first ring that I heard, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get rid of that. And I'm just gonna leave it like that. I like to use a lot compression on snares quite a bit. So I'm gonna go with, let's see, I'm gonna use the SSL E channel. Where is that guy? There it is. I like to use this compressor because it has a fast attack mode. Usually just put the release on 100 because it's a snare drum. It's kind of what you're doing. But the fast attack mode is the difference between like a really spiky snare or a really fat snare. So if you have it off, you got the spiky snare. You turn it on, you got the fat snare. So I like to do that. Try to keep the EQ adjustments to a minimum on this. Usually just try to sweeten it up a little bit. Sweet. Then on a snare, I would probably also use, after the compressor, a transient designer. I like the Dominion again. It's a great plugin. So yeah, I feel like the attack's pretty solid. I'm messing with the sustain. Okay, and then this is the point where I'm probably going to start looking at different parts. Okay, one thing you have to know about Dominion though, if you are using it with other sounds that are combined to make one sound, Dominion does throw off the timing enough to where you get phase problems. So you have to be careful when you use it. Or you have to insert it on every track that would affect that sound, so that they all get delayed the same amount of time so they lock into phase. Then the last step of the snare would probably be the clipper. I pretty much use a clipper on every single drum channel because I'm cool like that. All right, let's hear this. Let's compare before. Cool. So that's the kick and snare sound so far.